Alright, hey guys, welcome back to Import Obsessions. Things didn't quite go as planned, which is what happens when you're a family man. Sometimes you gotta handle business before pleasure sometimes. The goal today was to actually get the squad up, come over to the house, and we'll pull the Y8 that's in the hatch and take the B18C that's in the coupe and actually put the B series in the hatch and then make it drivable again. The hatch, it does crank, it does run, and it actually does drive. The problem I've been having with it is once it builds boost, it builds so much crankcase pressure that it blows the dipstick tube out of the block. And there goes oil everywhere. I believe, I don't know what happened to cause that damage. I have taken the piston and rod out and looked at the block. I've replaced the rings on that cylinder because it's cylinder number 1 that's actually creating the blow-by. I mean, the compression on that one has dropped so low, like it misfires because there's just not enough there. It's just all the unburnt fuel and everything just winds up into the crankcase. The plan was for that motor to be rebuilt. I just wanted to get another bottom end, and then I have a new Z6 head, like a fully refurbished. Like it's literally got no miles on it. We were playing around with it on this car, and we wound up not having the right cam gear, so I couldn't really set up the timing for it. There's a way you can do it, but at the time we didn't really have any tuning software. We were just going off a chipped ECU on Chrome. Now I do have Honda S300, and I have the tuning software S Manager, so this will help us in the next build, and hopefully we won't damage the engine this time. It was a Vitara setup, the regular eBay, Vitara setup, with the 50 trim eBay turbo kit, and it was spunky. It was chipped on chrome and it was spunky. I liked it. We really enjoyed it. And then one day, because it had about a 3-month lifespan, and then one day the previous owner, which is my buddy, he was driving it, and he went it and took it out of town, and it started smoking a little bit. And then within the next week or so, like, it progressively got worse and worse, till it got to the point where you couldn't even stay in the cabin because there was so much smoke in there, it run you out. So I took a look at it, and started, diagnosing the issue, and it automatically, because my first thought, it was rings. That was the first thought that came to mind. And so when I pulled the spark plug out of cylinder number 1, started there, and when I pulled the plug, loads of smoke just came out. So that already let me know it has something to do with the cylinders, obviously. But I didn't know I didn't know it was making that much crankcase pressure, and it eventually got to that point. And for the reason why it had to sit, and it's probably been sitting at least a year now. Both cars actually sat for a while. Like I said, I had a family, and things got put on hold because I no longer had the time or the money. And he's getting older, and my son's getting older now, so it's giving me a little bit more wiggle room to be able to do certain things for now. So I'm just going to try and keep it moving. I'm hoping this YouTube thing will actually help with the builds, and that way I can learn more, y'all can learn more from me, or I can learn from y'all, and we'll take it from there. So the whole goal is to actually build the B18C, the JDM GSR, the SRG, the GSR, whatever you want to call it, the B18C. The goal is to have it one day fully built and, have the car track ready. I wasn't a big drag racer. I do enjoy it. It is fun. But track racing is where my heart is. I love road courses. But with a few tweaks here and there, you can convert the car at a certain stage, at a certain level of the build. You can kind of hop back and forth and do street pulls and take it to the drag strip, and then you can actually do it, road course as well. But we're gonna move on to the build. So that's the main goal. I don't generally know exactly what happened to the engine, other than in my heart, because I chased dragons and I chased them and I chased them and I chased them. In my heart, I feel like that when I did the notch job, because I did all the work myself, when I did the notching for the girdle and the block to make room for the forged rods, because if you don't have a no notch rod kit for the D series, you have to actually go in there and grind away the bottom of the cylinders and actually through each one of the girdles in the main girdle for to actually make room for the rotating assembly to actually rotate. Because if you don't, it won't spin all the way over. It'll get locked up on the actual block itself. So you have to make that, you have to machine that out to make room. I would assume that maybe I cut one of them too thin, or I cut one, just made cuts too deep. And I have a feeling that maybe under boost and maybe not the proper tuning, that maybe it may have cracked at the bottom. And I have it too high up into the cylinder, so when the piston drops down, one of the rings goes too far down and overlaps it or something, or maybe it chipped away a little bit or something. To be honest, I have no idea, but I do plan on finding out after I get the hatch built, semi-built, where it's at least road ready and we can actually do pulls and do a lot of things with the car. And I'll have time to actually put the D-Series on a stand, and we'll break it down and we'll go into it and see exactly what happened, because I am just as curious. I really want to know. And then I'll actually want to build that engine back and then probably put it in the coupe. And then I don't know if I still want to go turbo, but I don't know. I want to do something different with that build, especially from how it was. Because the goal is, once we break it and when it goes back together, it's better, it's stronger. That's the goal. But for right now, that's a little ways off in the distance. For right now, I want to get the B series in the hatch, and then I want to get it, at least I want to get it boosted. I want to get it tuned, and that way we can actually start working on restoration to the hatch. Like I said, she's been sitting for quite a while. Both of them have really. I just want to show them some love and bring them back from the dead. I love these cars. I love them with all my heart. I'm a Honda guy through and through. Don't get me wrong, I love all other cars as well, but these cars, they really mean something to me. I can't really pinpoint where it actually came from, but it's just something about the shape of these vehicles, their heritage, the history. It's something about Honda itself. I'm a Honda enthusiast. I love them. I really do love them. I love the technology. I love the spirit. I love the heritage behind them. And that's what I really love to do. So with that, in closing, I just want to give a little bit of rundown of, kind of like what we're going to be looking forward to in the channel as far as content's concerned. Who knows, like during everything, I'll probably pick up the camera during, random moments or something like that. I just really want to focus on the builds, how we're going about it. Maybe teach everybody a few things, and maybe y'all can teach me, tell me something that I'm doing wrong, because that would really help, because I don't like making mistakes, because you already know when building a race car, you make a mistake and it's costly. It's very costly, and especially during these times right now, you just can't really afford to make costly mistakes. I am building on a budget, and I've, you know, budgeted this stuff out for a long time. I mean, it wasn't just an overnight process, like where I woke up and I was like, all right, let's do this. It's kind of been years, you know. I've been kind of saving up and doing this, that, and the third for a few years. Took a couple losses, but I'm back on my feet a little bit again. And, you know, I always wanted to do the YouTube thing, and so I never had really the chance to do it. I really wanted to do it when we were building the hatch the first time, but we were learning so much at the time, and we didn't have proper camera gear, which I don't have it now, but it was just so much we were going through, and we were working out of a buddy's shop, and everything was time consuming, and I didn't want to learn so many different processes at one time because it was going to take too long. I just want to kind of knock it out. I do have some photos of some of the, you know, the block work and stuff like that, but I kind of just want to, since that project died a long time ago, I want to bring it in a new light with this new build, and hopefully just cover every aspect of it this time as much as I can, because I know there's a lot of people out there like me that want to see this content. I love seeing it. I love going on YouTube, and it just, you know, over the years I've been wanting to do it, and I just watch more and more videos of all these guys, and, you know, and it inspired me to do so. So I made up the channel. The channel name is Import Obsessions, which is actually the former car club that I used to be in. I wound up being the last member involved, and I don't know if you can see it in any of the videos or whatever, but on the coupe, you'll see it on the front windshield. It's actually our car club sticker, Import Obsessions. So I thought it would be proper to bring everything back to life, and then I hope it lives on. I'm carrying the banner, carrying the flag, and now that I'm back in it, I hope to recruit some new members and you know, do what we can. Alright, the previous video, you know, I really wanted to give you all a rundown of, you know, what the channel goal was. I know it's kind of hard to get on a new channel and then be like, oh my god, you know, you watch a couple videos that aren't that long and be like, this ain't for me, and you keep it moving. I wanted to give people a rundown. I didn't want to draw it out too long, but it was a lot of stuff to go over. But now it's time to get into the fun stuff. And the main goal today is to actually get everything unhooked and get it basically get everything off of the engine that needs to come off. Everything to basically, when I get the engine hoist over here, basically all I gotta do is chain it up, maybe take the axles out in it, and a couple of the mount bolts, and it comes right out. Right now, actually, while I got you, I'll actually show you. I don't know if you can see it, but that's actually not coming from out of the turbo. Some of it was because of the amount of blowback that I was getting. The drain would not drain into the pan. If you get too much crankcase pressure, the turbo can't drain. It actually pushes it back, and you know the feed's gonna feed regardless. And then it blows that little thin seal, especially in those little cheap eBay turbos. I don't know if you can tell, but there is oil, and it is caked on everything, and it all came from here. It's on everything. As soon as you build boost, I mean, it blows it like a rocket. But yeah, that's the goal for right now. Unhook everything, get everything unhooked for it, and hopefully get right and ready. So next weekend we can actually get right and pull the engine out. I do have a bit of gas in the coupe, so it is a good thing. So I don't have to siphon it out. I will be driving it this week to burn that gas out. So maybe we'll do like a little bit of reviews while it's still in the coupe. What little bolt-ons it does have. A lot of that stuff is subject to change. But that'll be a good starting point for the coupe. That way we can introduce the coupe before, it sits on the sidelines. So yeah, we'll shoot the video. I'll try to get some footage of this stuff going on, and then hopefully that'll be ready tomorrow. I'll see if we'll have enough time at the shop to go through that parts list like I promised you guys. I'm excited about it. You know, I've just kind of been collecting parts over 2 builds and a few years, and it's come to the point where like I actually have enough where I can do a little something to the car, and we're gonna have fun with it, and we're gonna run it till it blows up, and then we'll build it back better than ever and make it strong. So we'll just go ahead and hop right into it. First things first, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the intercooler piping and get that out of the way. Basically all my little vacuum hoses that I need to, the lines that I have ran, get them out of here. As y'all know, on these D series, the older school Hondas, basically all you gotta do is just unhook the main harness from both corners, and then you just fold everything on top. You don't really have to unhook all the sensors and everything will just kind of beautifully drop out. But main thing, as I said before, and I'll get the hoses, the radiator, and I'll try to go ahead and get the turbo stuff, all the turbo stuff off first, and then I'll work my fuel lines and my brake lines, my clutch and everything. I'll get that sorted out, and then we'll go from there. I'll try to record as much as I can. I'm only doing this off of my phone and I have no stand, so crappy content at first, but it'll get better, I promise. I promise it'll get better. So that's where we'll start, and hopefully it doesn't take too long. I apologize for the angle. Did take a little bit longer, and I think my camera actually moved down, and it did. So, I'm sorry. So, well, basically, we got all the intercooler piping out, radiator, the turbo manifold, turbo. Basically, anything having to do with a turbo kit is gone. Got all the coolant hoses, the harness disc, detached. So fuel's gone, brake boosters disconnected. So throttle cable. Only thing leaving it now is 2 axles and the mounts. That's it. And probably knock that out next weekend. 'Cause I don't have an engine hoist with me right now. I didn't get a chance to go pick it up. But I'll definitely have it next weekend. Come hell or high water, I'm gonna get it pulled. We can go ahead and pull this bad boy out and go ahead and get started on the GSR, pulling it out and throwing it in here. Once we throw it in here and work out all the kinks, make sure that the harness is communicating with the Honda like it's supposed to. I've been having trouble on the coupe, but the wiring was really janky on that car when I bought it. But that's what happens when you get a $650 Honda. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all been there. So, but I did get a couple of issues worked out, but it's just so much wiring stuff, and that's the main reason that I wanted to get into the hatch. The hatch is in better condition. It doesn't look like it because it doesn't get driven, but as soon as the motor gets in and it gets cleaned up, and then you'll tell the difference. Because then I'll probably shoot a video of like one of the reasons why I was getting out of the coupe and hopping into the hatch. That's a whole nother video. That car has been used and abused, and I know both owners that's had it before me, and you know they had it collectively probably about 11 years or something like that. But it was a race car for a while. That's the reason why the fenders are stretched to hold the slicks. When the bumper comes off, the bumper support's cut for the bigger radiator. My buddy told me when he had it, within the first month, he went through 5 boosted motors. He blew them all up. But when you push the cars hard, you know, it happens. And that car was pushed. And I wanted to bring it back to life, and for a couple years I did. You know, brought it back to life. But it's just getting to the point where I want to go further with the build and the wiring and everything. It's like, it's not that I couldn't do it and go through it and redo it, but I have a better one here already. And before we got a hold of this car, it was completely bone stock, unmolested in any kind of way, other than they put a CD player in it. So, I mean, this car was a good find. I mean, it hasn't been in a wreck at all, but it just has the usual, 30-year-old rust wear that the Hondas get. But that stuff is fixable, it's salvageable. The wiring is almost completely untouched, other than wiring the VTEC for the Y8 that we put in here. Because, you know, these models didn't come with VTEC engines, so it wasn't wired up to the ECU for VTEC, which isn't a big deal. You know, you just run your wires off of your pressure switch and your solenoid, you pin them in straight to the ECU that you're using. I mean, it's fairly simple, straightforward stuff. But other than that was the only, and the RPM gauge, and that was what we done. I mean, that's the only thing that's been done to this car. I mean, the interior, like, you'll see it when everything's cleaned up and done, like, the interior is really good on this car. It just makes you want to drive it. The coupe was wore out, and it just, I don't know. I love it, don't get me wrong, but I'm getting older. I want to do things right, and I think the hatch is the right base for it. Probably gonna stop the video here. I think we got a pretty good amount done. I mean, it doesn't take much on these cars. You can see, like, the video. I know I'm a time lapse it, but it's 30 minutes and 48 seconds right now. So, I mean, and I've been talking to y'all for about 5 minutes. So it's a very simple process with these cars. That's one reason I do love them. They're simple, they're light, they're nimble, and you can make great power cheap. I mean, a lot of people hate on them. I know a couple guys personally, like, just despise these cars. And I believe it, you know, what everybody else has done to their cars and the way they act and stuff, and kind of brings it a stigma, the Honda guy, you know. But I'm going to try and shed some light on the Hondas a different way, with love, enthusiasm, and prove that these cars are real contenders. They are real sports cars, and I love them, and I hope to change some people's minds too. Well, I reached the max limit on that video, but yeah, like I said, I understand it. I mean, I like V8s too. These are where my passions are. Some people like big blocks. I like small displacement, big turbos. That's what I like. But we all come together and we all have the same end goal, and it's love our car, build our car, turn it into our own. And that's what I want to prove on this channel. So this is, you've seen the before, this is the aftermath. She's getting a little bare. But all we got left to do is pull out the axles and undo the mounts, and then that'll be everything.